everybody, this is Brian.
Jason.
And this is the Perfectly Screwed Podcast.
Hello.
Yo. Okay, where do I start? You know what? I talked a lot of shit about Trump for like a few weeks, so
yeah.
Only to be fair to the ones that are Republicans, let's talk about Biden for a second. They found classified documents from his time as vice president in his home.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in his office.
Interesting.
So, little difference though. He turned them over immediately instead of lying for 8 months.
Well.
So, or a year about. And he didn't say he declassified them. He actually turned them over immediately as soon as they were found. But
he did have
he
stolen documents.
Well, yeah, he took them when he was vice president for Barack Obama's thing and kept them in his house, yeah. So Trump, of course, is all...
I can't even imagine.
Oh, he's all ass about it. He's like, this is all bullshit. They found classified documents, la, la, la. Well, yeah. I mean, given they don't know what they're going to do about the Biden situation, because they can't really prosecute him for it, because he's president. I mean...
Right.
So he's kind of got executive privilege at this point, but they did find classified documents that he kept, but he was like, yo, my bad, here you go, fucked up. Although Biden's getting worse. Have you seen lately? He is losing his mind. He called his latest speech, he again referred to Camilla as president. Losing his mind, dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't pay attention, but
at this point he's just losing it.
I literally have somebody, like, it seems like once a week that'll at work or something, I'll be like, did you see Biden, man? He was up there giving a speech. He don't even make any sense.
Yeah, he's not. At this point, he reads the same thing like 3 or 4 times. Like, he'll read the statement he's making during the speech.
Biden?
I think he's in his 80s.
Hold on, I'll look it up.
80s? I'm almost sure he's in his 80s.
He's probably like 680.
Yeah, he's like in his 80s, I think. I mean, his mind's starting to grow clearly.
He's reptilian. He's like 2,000 years old.
His mind is starting to really fail this man. He is losing it, boy.
Yeah, I mean, he's
starting to get bad.
He's 80 exactly. He was born
80?
November 20th, 1942.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we ain't really got to worry about him much longer. If he gets presidency again, he's probably not going to make it another 4 years. I mean, that's...
See, Trump's 76, so he's...
Oh, yeah, Trump's up there, too, yeah.
And I mean, he says a bunch of bullshit, but at least he's coherent.
At least he isn't calling the vice president the first lady and the president.
Are you talking about Camilla Harris?
Yeah.
What is she? Like,
she's the vice president.
And he called her president.
Repeatedly. He does it all the time.
It's great.
He's like, Madam President. I'm like, what? Come on, guy.
She probably tells
him. He doesn't even know where he is.
Him.
He doesn't even know where he is anymore.
She probably like licks his balls or something.
He's like, his balls probably don't need licked. Hell, he just drag him on the floor in a rainstorm at this point. 80 years old. Shit,
he probably likes the teabag. Covers her whole fucking face.
He probably can't even get nothing up if he wanted to, man. Not at this point. No. God damn.
No, if you're not speaking coherently, I have a really hard time.
He reads the same.
Thinking you're going to get that thing
he'll
going.
read a statement in front of him, clearly written down during his speech, and he'll read it at least 2 or 3 times before he realizes he read it.
Right,
he'll read it again.
Right.
Then he'll move on to the next line. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is why a 5-minute speech takes 2 hours with you, dude.
Well, and it's almost, it is comical, but it's comical to me that it's like, man, do people really still think that this guy matters at all?
No.
That our president means anything at all? They're literally just actors put out in front to entertain you. I mean, and they are entertaining. I'll give them that.
Well, all politicians nowadays are hired by corporations anyways. I mean, it's a brilliant strategy.
Right. Because
capitalists and corporations and these very rich people realized early on that the 99% of us that don't have the wealth, that we could make extreme change and affect their wealth with our votes because we have the power to do that. So they did what any rich person would do, they bought the votes.
Well, not only,
Right. They bought the politics.
Right. And,
So if you own the politician,
and they made sure that, yes, you do get a vote, but you're going to vote for who we select. You're going to elect who we select.
It doesn't matter who you vote for.
Right.
Doesn't it? Because
Absolutely
they
not.
own both of them.
Right. They're the
Right.
one. Right. Exactly.
They own both
They chose
parties.
them.
Right.
They put them right.
Right. So it doesn't matter who you vote for because they own them. No matter who goes into office, they own
Well,
them.
and we've talked about this before. I mean, the United States is a corporation.
Oh, yeah, of course it is.
And
A failing corporation.
ran out of Washington D.C. and anybody can start a corporation, but in order for it to be a corporation, you have to have three things: president, vice president, and secretary of treasury.
Right. That's, Secretary of State.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean that stuff. Yeah, that stuff is. But those are the three components that you
Yeah.
must have in order to start a corporation.
We've always had those, yes.
100%.
Well, have you heard about the Fair Tax Act now? They're trying to enact? They're
No.
never going to, I hope to fuck they don't pass it. And I don't think they will. But it's up for a vote in Congress. They want to abolish the IRS. They want to abolish income tax completely and death tax and all of those taxes that are associated with the IRS, and instead add a 20 to 30% sales tax on all consumable goods.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So now you would have a government sales tax on all food and purchased merchandise instead of an income tax. So you get your whole check, but it would really I'll tell you who would fuck over is low income people. It
Yeah,
would
dude.
really fuck them. Like middle class, it would actually kind of benefit the middle class because we'd be getting our whole paycheck and then we would pay a little bit more for buying shit, but it wouldn't affect us that much. But low income would have the same tax as you and me.
Yeah.
So therefore, they would just get ass raped.
And that's what they're trying to do is eliminate. Yeah. Well, and the other thing that's scary about it is, like you said, obviously there would be a benefit, and you would get all the money that you make. But now you're turning over control of that sales tax. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And not only is it going to jump real high right off the gate, like, how far will they go with it? Because if they literally can bleed out the low class, the low income class, like you said,
Right.
they're just going to fucking eliminate them off the map. How fucking far will they push it?
Right.
Because then we're next.
Well, the thing is, at that point, low income people can barely afford to buy the shit that you want them to buy. So it's really going to hurt corporations.
Well, I was going to
too.
say, how bad is it going to affect
Right.
the economy, right?
Right. And then you also got to understand it's going to lay off and eliminate over 85,000 federal employees. 85,000
In the
people
IRS.
will lose their job. Yeah,
And what
from the
happens
IRS.
to like welfare and all
Yeah.
the government aided programs like that? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? How will it affect that?
Well, this would eliminate Social Security completely too. It would eliminate Social Security tax.
Wow.
So, yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's a huge
It's
problem.
funny too that they call it fair.
Yeah, not fair at all.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's the fair
Some
tax.
bastards.
Yeah.
Come on down to the fair tax. Jolly old fun in
Yeah.
here, boys.
Watch out.
Perfectly fair.
Watch out, the government's gonna fuck you today,
I'm
guys.
telling you, we're not fucking you. It's fair. It's right there in the act.
Look how we're gonna ass rape you this evening.
Man,
Jesus. I'm saying.
that's crazy though, dude. It really is great. I mean, words are used as mind control.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
might segue us into what we're talking about today.
Well, they said
Kind of.
they said it's fair because it's the same for everybody. That's why they say it's fair. But see, that's not
clearly
But
anybody
that's not
with any
fair.
common sense knows that that's
Right.
not fair, right?
right. Because low income people should not pay as much tax as rich corporations.
It would be fair. Yes, I see it's the same for everybody, but it would only be fair if everybody was starting with the same amount.
Right.
That's why it's not fair.
It's only fair if everybody gets paid the same.
Exactly.
It's not fair if Joe Schmo over here makes minimum wage and I
Yeah.
make $40 an
See,
hour.
dude, that's another thing, though. That's another thing. Is it's all part of a plan to push the basic income.
Yeah.
where everybody does make the same.
Oh, yeah. But see, of course, they would make it really low.
Hell yes.
So then it's not fair anymore.
Of course they're going to make it low.
Oh, anyways.
Yeah, the 1% wants to remain the 1%.
Of course. They want to definitely remain the 1%.
And the only way to...
The problem is
1%,
you can't remain the 1% without the other 99.
Well, without the other 99 being manipulated and fucking brainwashed into thinking that
well, no, the thing
nothing
is,
can be done about it.
The thing is, you have to be able to sell your goods to the 99%, or you 1%ers lose all your money.
No, it's a huge. It's a balancing act.
Well, that's what the problem with capitalism right now. That's why it's imploding because
because that's what it does.
Right. Well, yeah, pure capitalism works, and up until the 70s, we had a semblance of pure capitalism in this country. Then in the 70s, the 1%ers decided that they would make a lot more money if they took all the corporations to China and paid them nothing. Right.
Yep. 1972. Yep.
Right. So when they took all the corporations to China, did away with the gold standard, and they started paying the Chinese a lot less money, they did make a lot of money for about 40 years now. Well, now the problem is this. We can no longer afford to buy the goods because none of the jobs are in America. And the Chinese cannot buy your goods where you're making them because you don't pay them enough to buy them. So who the fuck is buying your shit? Nobody. Well, if nobody buys your shit, guess what? You're going to get poor real fucking quick, guy.
That's what greed does. You know what I'm saying? That's what greed is.
Well, Carvana just went under.
It's to, you know what I mean? What can I get for myself right now in the short term without thinking about what it's going to mean in the future? But the thing about the 1%ers is, and this is what makes them evil, they know good and goddamn well what's going to happen in the future, and they do it anyway.
Yeah.
And
they're like, fuck it.
Right. And now they're just going to deal with the ramifications of it. How are they going to deal with it? Well, you can bet your ass it's going to be with greed.
Yeah.
So there ain't no fucking tax out there that's fair.
No.
Just for all the listeners who don't get swept up in the Fair Tax Act.
Well, even the original tax that we have right now is not fair because you only pay taxes up to a certain amount. I think it's like $500,000 is where they cap it at. Mm-hmm. So anything you make over that amount is not taxed. Well, how is that fair if you're a billionaire?
It's not.
It's not. No. You should be taxed on every dollar you make, just like the guy who's making $20 an hour.
Then, think about religion, churches. I mean, we're talking about a
they're not taxed at all.
Multi-trillion-dollar company that does not pay taxes. Period.
Oh well, being a minister is the best racket in the world.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, because you never pay taxes for any of your income. So if you're paid by a church, if you're a priest or a minister, all your income is tax-free.
Absolutely.
You pay no income tax, no Social Security tax, no nothing.
Right. And then not only that, they wrote it right there in the book that if you fucking come in here, you better give me 10% of what you're making.
Damn right.
And now, if the Fair Tax Act passes, you're going to be giving 10% to the church who doesn't pay taxes, and then 20, 25, 30% more on sales tax for goods that are going to the same goddamn people that run the churches.
You're damn right. Come on now.
Man, they're brilliant.
They get you coming and going, buddy.
I think next life I'm going to be reincarnated as the 1%. I'm just going to try it out. Let's try it out.
Be fun for a little while.
Be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, if you want to go to heaven, you got to pay for that shit, okay? It ain't free.
It ain't free, folks.
You're right.
100%.
If you want to get in the pearly gates, there's a 10% sales tax when you come in. All right? Wings and halos cost money, damn it.
It's like George Carlin says. You know what I mean? God is all-knowing, all-loving, all-powerful, almighty. He's just bad with money. He's just bad with
Never figured out the economy.
Right. It's tough. It's tough out here.
Hey, how you going to get streets of gold if you don't pay for them? Now, come on now. Somebody's got to pay for that shit.
You're not.
Shit ain't free. Damn it.
What are we talking about today, anyway?
Not streets of gold and halos, but
we
we could.
Nice, but...
Yeah.
on part 2.
Yeah, we're on part 2 of Nazis and Hitler.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And the Third Reich. So, where we left off, guys, if you haven't listened to part 1, which was last week, episode 80, right?
81.
81. Okay, episode 81. If you haven't listened to 81, please go back and listen to 81 or you'll have no fucking clue where I am. Not that 81 was great, but it did talk about Hitler's early life. So if you want to know about Hitler's early life,
there was some interesting things, yeah.
I mean, it was good.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong, it was a good episode.
Well,
but
there was some interesting tidbits, that I didn't really know, like that his name wasn't Hitler.
Yeah, yeah, not originally.
Yeah.
No. So where we were was Hitler had just tried to start a coup to overthrow the Bavarian government. And 4 police officers were killed in the failed coup. So at this point, that's where we were. And Hitler was arrested for that on November 11th, 1923, and charged with high treason. He had a special trial before the People's Court.
Yeah.
Old Judge Wapner was there. And
so, but he uses this as like a platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he, in 1924, he had in the People's Court, mind you, in Munich, he had a trial, and Rosenberg actually became temporary leader of the Nazi Party. Hitler was sentenced to 5 years in prison at Landsberg, which I think is amazing. He only got 5 years for high fucking treason in 1924. Yeah, but still 5 years for treason? Jesus Christ, man. What kind of fucking nation is like, you know what? You tried to overthrow the government, here's 5 years.
Kill 4 cops.
Yeah, kill 4 cops, 5 years. 5 years, no problem.
I was just listening to something earlier today that said, he ends up, I think, doing 9 months in, not bad, in about the best conditions you could possibly imagine being in prison.
Well, the reason he only did 9 months is because, first of all, he had a lot of supporters that would regularly visit him from the Nazi Party. And he was treated extremely well, kind of like a mafioso in there. Right. I mean, he had a special room. He had the best of everything. He didn't really go to prison.
He's in prison, but he ain't.
Yeah, he's not really in prison. And he was pardoned in December of that same year in 1924. So, yeah, he got locked up in February, in April, and he was pardoned in December.
Yeah.
By the Bavarian Supreme Court.
So he basically got a 9-month spa treatment.
He served just over 1 year total, so yeah.
God damn.
So this dude tries to overthrow the government and serves basically 12 months. Right. And they said it's okay, let him out.
Right.
It's fine. It's cool.
5 years ago in this country, if you got found with a fucking roach,
you
were doing a fucking year.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. You get a blunt in Indiana, let me tell you, it's not going to be a year in your pardon, buddy. You're going to...
No, you're going to do hard fucking time, dude.
You're doing 5 years in a maximum security penitentiary, bud.
You're going to eat peanut butter paste and fucking whatever else they give you to eat.
Yeah.
Fucker.
Yeah.
Fuck, gross.
So while he was in prison...
Evaporated milk. I never understood that fucking.
Evaporated milk?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, in prison?
Just give me the water.
Yeah, I know.
And a packet.
Right.
Let me make the choice because this is gross.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Why don't you just give me water, man? Just
right.
Fuck the milk.
Right.
I don't care.
I know, right.
It's not that big
real
a deal.
fucking milk. Cool.
Yeah, but evaporated? I mean, you can't spring for the milk they get at the cafeteria at school.
You could at least mix it up better.
Yeah.
I know those are chunks of powder.
It's like coffee mate.
Gross,
coffee mate and water. That's
it's bad.
So, while he was in prison, he dictated the first volume of Mein Kampf.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mein Kampf means my struggle.
Yeah, my struggle. And it was originally entitled 4.5 Years of Struggle Against Lies, Stupidity, and Cowardice. That was the original name of that book.
Well, he made a better choice with the Mein Kampf. I mean, a lot simpler and to the point.
Yeah, and it was an autobiography. Anybody who doesn't know, Mein Kampf's like his autobiography.
Yeah.
and it explains all of the ideas of Nazism. So it also lays out the plans for transforming German society into what is based on one race. Throughout the book, Jews are equated with germs and presented as the internal prisoners of society. According to Hitler, the only solution to redeem society as a whole was the extermination of all Jewish people. He didn't describe exactly how this to be accomplished, but he said genocide was undeniable. So basically,
I guess my thing is, it doesn't really make sense because he's talking about wanting to be one race.
Mm-hmm.
But the Jews is a religion.
Well, they're a race too.
They're
a race.
A race?
Yeah, they come from Jerusalem. They come from Israel. Yeah. Jewish people come from Israel, and they're from Jerusalem. That's why they're called Jews.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, all people from Israel are Jewish. So he's basically talking about eliminating Israel.
Right, yeah.
So, interestingly enough, Mein Kampf sold 228...
Interesting enough, that's exactly what America's doing now.
Yeah, interesting. But it sold 228,000 copies from 1925 to 1932, and 1 million copies were sold in 1933, Hitler's first year in office. Now, Bavarian government tried to deport him to Austria, but Austria refused. Because Hitler had renounced his Austrian citizenship on April of 1925. So, when Hitler was released from prison, politics in Germany had become less combative and the economy had improved slightly. This limited Hitler's opportunities for political agitation. And as a result of the failed beer hall incident, the Nazi Party and its affiliated organizations were banned in Bavaria. In a meeting with the Prime Minister of Bavaria on the 4th of January 1925, Hitler agreed to respect the state's authority and promised that he would seek political power only through the democratic process. This meeting paved the way for the ban on the Nazi Party to be lifted on February 16th. However, after an inflammatory speech he gave on February 27th, Hitler was barred from public speaking in Bavaria by the authorities. This remained in place until 1927. So, to advance his political ambitions, Hitler appointed a guy named Gregor Strasser, Otto Strasser, and Joseph Goebbels to organize and enlarge the Nazi Party in northern Germany. They steered a more independent political course, emphasizing the socialist elements of the party's program. So, around this time, on the 24th of October 1929, the United States stock market crashed.
Depression.
Yeah, which was a big impact. It had a big impact in Germany. Millions were thrown out of work, and several major banks collapsed in Germany. Because Germany at this time was relying a lot on the United States and their stock market and their give and take to support them.
Well, because after
World War I,
Germany is bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
So their money, obviously, I don't know if all of it's being lent, but most of it's going to be coming lent from the United States.
Right. Most of it at that time was coming from the United States, and when the United States crashed in 29, it almost destroyed the Germany economy.
Which sets up perfectly for somebody to take over. But hey, how about this? Jews are not a race. People who identify as Jewish include individuals of enormously diverse geographic origins and physical appearances, making the idea that Jews could easily be designated a race in the sense of shared physical or biological characteristics implausible. Jews historically have defined themselves as a people, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all made-up people. Converts are also considered descendants of these patriarchal ancestors. colloquially,
Yeah,
Jews
colloquially.
also sometimes describe themselves as a tribe. So yeah, they're not actually a race of people.
Well, see, I thought since anybody from Israel was a Jew, though, I really did. I didn't know that.
Well,
Interestingly enough.
yeah, I would say, I mean, most of them probably identify as Jewish, but there's probably some that don't.
Right.
Because
But,
there's Islam too, right?
well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it is a religion. Yeah.
Yeah, Judaism, Christianity.
Well, I knew Judaism was
Judaism,
religion.
Christianity, Islam are all religions of the book.
Oh, well, yeah. They all come from the same basic scripture.
They all
the
have
Old
right,
Testament.
They all have
Yeah.
their own book. You know what I'm saying?
But they all evolved from the same
And there's
texts.
It's stories.
Of course.
It's stories.
Well, yeah,
Abraham,
stories
Isaac,
written down,
and Jacob are not real.
Well, they might have been. We never know. I mean,
They could have been.
yeah, Moses wrote them, so, you know. But, anyways, the Great Depression provided a severe political opportunity for Hitler.
Yeah.
Because people were tired
Yeah.
of the German parliamentary republic at this point.
Well, now
They were fed up.
Now they don't have no fucking money.
Right, they have no money. The government they had in Germany was relying heavily on the United States, and because of the Treaty of Versailles and a lot of things that had went on since World War I, they were just fed up with the government as it is. Plus, the moderate political parties were becoming increasingly unable to stem the tide of extremism. The Referendum Act of 1929 helped to elevate the Nazi ideology. So in the elections of 1930, resulted in a breakup of the Grand Coalition and its replacement with a minority cabinet. Its leader, Chancellor Heinrich Goering of the Center Party, governed through the emergency decrees from President Paul von Hindenburg. Governments by decrees became the norm and paved the way for the authoritarian forms of government. The Nazi Party then rose from obscurity to win 18.3% of the vote and 107 parliament seats in 1930's election. They became the second largest party in the German parliament. So in late 1930, Hitler made some appearances at trials of officers Lieutenant Richard Scherberger and Hans Luden. Both were members of the Nazi Party, and at the time illegal for personnel at Rorschach. I don't know. The prosecution argued that the Nazi Party was an extremist party, prompting defense lawyer Hans Frank to call Hitler to testify. On the 25th of September 1930, Hitler testified that his party would pursue political power slowly through only democratic elections, which won him many supporters in the officers' corps. So at this point, he's sticking up for these two officers because they said they're illegally trying to push their Nazi agenda and that the Nazi Party was an extremist party trying to take over the government. So they called Hitler, and Hitler said, no, you got it wrong. We're a Democratic Party. We're doing things just the way you guys want us to. We're getting elected. And he stuck up for these guys. So all the officers there that saw this in the German military were like, hey, we kind of like this guy. We like this party. We might want to get behind this guy because he's sticking up for us. He's sticking up for one of our guys. One of our own.
He's fucking smart, dude. He fucking got it. He understood how to fucking reel people in. It's
yeah.
But it's crazy how everything unfolds exactly how he needs it to unfold. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the things that happen are kind of like building up to the people. Hey, this guy ain't so fucking bad.
Right.
Right.
Well, see, this is the thing. Since Hitler said he wasn't Austrian or announced his citizenship, technically at this point, Hitler did not have a country. So he couldn't run for state office because
right.
he wasn't German.
Yeah.
He was living in Germany, but he renounced his citizenship, so therefore he could not run for office at all. So in 1932, the Interior Minister of Brunswick, who was also a member of the Nazi Party, appointed Hitler as administrator for the state's delegation in Berlin. Now, this made Hitler automatically a citizen of Brunswick and also by default of Germany. So that's how he became a German citizen again. So Hitler in 1932 ran against Hindenburg in the presidential elections. And in 1932 he had a lot of support from many of Germany's most powerful industrialists. Hindenburg had support from various nationalist monarchists, Catholics, and Republican parties and Social Democrats. Hitler used the campaign slogan, Hitler über Deutschland, which means Hitler over Germany, a reference to his political ambitions and his campaigning by aircraft. He was one of the first politicians to use aircraft travel for political purposes, and he used it efficiently. Hitler came in second in both rounds of the election, getting more than 35% of the vote in the final election. Although he lost to Hindenburg, this election established Hitler as a strong force in German politics. So, in 1932, something pretty important happened. Hindenburg, at this point, agrees, now reluctantly, mind you, but he agrees to make Hitler the chancellor. Because there was 2 parliamentary elections that basically didn't have a result as a majority. So they couldn't agree on who should be chancellor. So after a while, Hindenburg just goes, give it to Hitler. Fuck it.
Really?
Right. Yeah. So
he was kind of made chancellor by default.
Yeah, kind of. And then on the March 1933...
What a terrible decision by Hindenburg. My God.
Well, in 1933, to show a unity between the Nazi movement and the old government, Hitler appears and humbly greets Heisenberg, bows his head, says, "You're the president."
See, dude, he's good, bro.
Yeah.
He knows how to play the fucking game.
Yeah. So, to achieve full political control, despite not having an absolute majority in Parliament, Hitler's government brought the Enabling Act to a vote in the newly elected government.
Wait a minute, wasn't there... I remember seeing somewhere, that there was some kind of building or something that was set on fire.
I don't know.
And this had, something to do also with him taking over. Basically, I don't know, it was a government building.
I don't know.
I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, look that up. But, see, the Enabling Act, what it did was, it gave Hitler's cabinet the power to enact laws without consent from Parliament for 4 years. So this Enabling Act for 4 years gave his cabinet, the Nazi Party, the ability to make laws without going through Parliament. Without going through a...
Really?
Yeah.
So they could just make up anything they wanted.
Yeah. And these laws could, with certain exceptions, deviate from the Constitution. Since it would affect the Constitution, the Enabling Act required 2/3 majority to pass, leaving nothing to chance. The Nazis used the provisions of the fire decree to arrest all 81 communist deputies.
So listen. On February 20... What year are you in? 33?
33.
On February 27th, 1933, the German Parliament, the Reichstag building, burned down.
Yeah.
The Nazi leadership and its coalition partners used the fire to claim that communists were planning a violent uprising. But the Nazis set the fucking thing on fire!
Yeah, the fire decree. That's what I was going to talk about. Yeah. Because of the fire decree, and the fire decree was when they set the building on fire. I was actually right at that point to start talking about that. They set the building on fire. And the fire decreed that the communists were at fault because of that. So it was a Fire Decree Act. And because of this, he got all 81 communist deputies that were in Parliament arrested at the time so they couldn't vote against this Enabling Act.
So a decree is an official order issued by a legal authority.
Right.
Which, like you just said, all of a sudden now, for 4 years.
Well, not yet. This is how he got this act
this is how he got
passed.
there. Right.
This is how the Enabling Act got passed so that he could, for 4 years, make any law he basically wanted to.
Unreal.
Okay? So, first of all, he set the building on fire. This caused the Fire Decree Act, which the Fire Decree Act got all 81 communist parliament people arrested. Okay? So, what he did, he set the building on fire. Then he made it look like he framed the communists for doing it. So they arrested all 81 parliament members saying, yeah, you guys are the ones who set the fire.
Right.
So now they can't vote on this Enabling Act. Okay? Then he did many other things to prevent any social democrats from attending the vote also. So the only people at the vote at the time to vote for this Enabling Act was the Nazi Party. So it got passed, no problem.
But yeah, like, literally, basically the story goes is that, yeah, it's the burning of this building that causes all this shit. Well, they're the ones that fucking lit it on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's... It's so... I mean, that's why, like, just like 9/11, man, like, did Bin Laden order terrorists to fucking fly into the World Trade buildings? Possibly. But is it not also possible that it was done purposely to create an uprising for a greedy agenda?
So, when they went to vote on this Enabling Act, right, there were people outside the legislation who were shouting threats at the socialist members of parliament, saying that if you don't vote for this, we'll kill you when you come outside. Things like this. Scaring them into voting for it. Right. Then Hitler promised, verbally, without writing anything down, that Hindenburg could retain veto power over any law that the Enabling Act, that his party made during the Enabling Act. Okay, so because of his verbally, he said, you know, look, I'm going to still let the president veto anything he doesn't think is right. You know, come on, guys. We're good. We're good dudes. We ain't going to do that. Right.
Yeah, everything's going to be fine.
Right. So the act passed 444 to 94.
Really?
Yeah.
444?
444 to 94, yeah. And this act transformed Hitler's party and the government into basically the legal definition of a dictatorship. Because at this point, they have 4 years where they can make any law they want to. And yes, he verbally said the president could veto, but it wasn't written down in the act. It wasn't written down anywhere. So right after it was voted in, he's like, fuck the president, man. We're going to do whatever the fuck we want, bud. We have power now. We can make any law we want to, and you guys can't stop us.
Right.
Right.
Man. God, that's crazy.
So, Hitler had this to say after this act passed. He said, at the risk of appearing to talk nonsense, I tell you that the National Socialist movement will go on for at least 1,000 years. Talking about the Nazi Party. He said, don't forget how people laughed at me 15 years ago when I declared that I one day would govern Germany. They laugh now just as foolishly when I declare that I shall always remain in power. So having achieved full control over the legislative and executive branches of the government, Hitler and his allies began to immediately suppress the remaining opposition. The Social Democratic Party was banned from the government. That was one of his first laws he enacted.
What was it?
He banned the Social Democratic Party, the other party. He banned them from the government, and all their
After he vowed to him.
Yeah. Yeah, after he vowed that, I won't do nothing, guys.
Well, and like vowed.
Oh, yeah.
He vowed
yeah,
and vowed.
Vowed, yeah. Hey, guys, I'm humble.
And now he's like, hey, by the way, you ain't fucking coming in here.
Yeah.
You piece of shit.
Not only did he ban them, but he seized all their assets. He took all their shit, too. He banned them from the government, took all their shit.
How was your decision now, Eiselberg? We'll just go with Hitler, what the hell. Yeah, he's going to have all your shit, dickhead.
So then, while many trade union delegates were in Berlin for May Day activities, SA troops occupied union offices around the country and stormed in. On May 1933, all trade unions were forced immediately to dissolve, and their leaders were arrested. Some were trade unions, the leaders of the trade unions. Wow. Anybody who was a union member or the head of the union, he stormed into their offices and arrested all of them motherfuckers.
He's just basically copying what fucking Russia was doing, what Stalin was doing.
Oh, yeah. So they were immediately sent to concentration camps, and the German Labor Front was formed as an umbrella organization to represent all workers, administrators, and company owners, thus reflecting the concept of Nazism in the spirit of Hitler. So, that's brilliant. See, because now he goes into all the union headquarters, where all these companies work for, and sees the head of all these companies. Send him to concentration camps. Right. And then puts his people in power and says, look, now we control all of your working.
Right.
If you want to work, guess who you work for? The Nazi Party. You don't work for the Nazi Party, you don't work. So, and that's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, where you can. This is going to be in this concentration camp.
Yeah, you can work in the concentration camp.
Like you can either work for a little bit of money, or you can work until you're dead for nothing.
Yeah.
What a choice.
So by the end of June of that year, the other parties that had been in the government were intimidated into disbanding. With the SA's help, Hitler forced its leader, Hugenberg, to resign on the 29th of June. So on July 1933, the Nazi Party was declared the only legal political party in Germany by law.
Wow, that didn't take long.
No, a few months.
Wow.
We're the only party you're going to represent, buddy. Guess what? Only what? You're not voting for shit. All right? You thought you were, but since we got this act in place, guess what?
You have no rights, or not. I mean, all your rights and all your laws are now being made up by me. Made up by me, Hitler.
Yeah.
For the next 4 years at least.
Yeah.
By law.
Yeah.
Wow. Man.
So, the demands of the SA for more political and military power started to cause anxiety among the military.
SA?
Oh, you would ask me that, wouldn't you?
Hold on, I'll get it.
Yeah, look up SA. It was the people that were helping Hitler at the time. But I don't exactly know what SA stands for. I'm sure I said it. I'll look at it real quick. But I'm sure I said it a little while ago. Yes, here we go, guys. We're trying to figure out what SA means.
SA, abbreviation of...
What? Is it a long word?
Yeah. Abbreviation of Sturmabteilung, some German word. Oh, wait. Or the German Assault Division.
Okay, yes.
By name, Stormtroopers.
Yeah, they were the cops.
Or brown shirts, German Sturmtruppen, or, the cops.
They were the cops. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought they were.
Or the original paramilitary wing of the Nazi Party. What's paramilitary? Cops?
Yeah, the cops.
Okay, I gotcha.
So, yeah, they were the stormtroopers for Hitler. But, see, they were demanding more military power. And this was causing anxiety for a lot of political leaders, industry leaders in the military, and causing Hitler some problems. Because they were like, look, we're the ones that are doing all this policing. We want more power. We want more response.
Right.
So, in response to this, Hitler did something that's now known as the Night of Long Knives, which he took all the SA leaders, and this took place from the 30th of June to the 2nd of July in 1934.
Okay, it's the Sturm Abelung. That's where, what's SA? Sturm Abelung. Okay.
Okay, so he took all their leaders, right, when they demanded more power, and he rounded them up, arrested them, and then took them out and shot them in the face.
Oh. Nice.
So, even though a lot of people were shocked by this, many Germans believed that Hitler was actually restoring order to Germany. So, in August of 1934, the President Hindenburg died. The previous day, the Nazi Party had enacted the law concerning the highest state office of the Reich. This law stated that upon Hindenburg's death, the office of president would be abolished, and its powers would then merge with those of the chancellor. Wow. So he makes a law right before this dude's death that
if he dies,
if the president dies,
just happens to,
if he just happens
by coincidence, we
die,
we don't want him to,
but
we're not saying he's going to.
But if it does,
But it's a possibility.
we're going to eliminate the presidency, and we're just going to let the chancellor take control of the whole thing.
Well, that makes sense.
Well, yeah. And who's
You know-
the chancellor? Hitler.
Well, you know, he doesn't want all this responsibility, but he's willing to take it on if something unfortunate were to happen to the president.
So, because of this, Hitler became the head of state and the head of the government as well. And he was known as leader and chancellor.
Basically, he has,
Supreme power.
in a very short amount of time,
Yeah, within 2 years.
he is
the leader
the leader.
of Germany. Right.
Like, not just the, like our president, like we talked about earlier, can't really do shit, doesn't really mean shit. He's there because you have to have a president, vice president, and treasury in order to have a corporation.
Mm-hmm.
Hitler, on the other hand,
He is the corporation.
is making all the laws and rules.
Yes. So, as the head of state, Hitler also became the commander-in-chief of all armed forces. And immediately after Hindenburg's death, he turned the traditional loyalty oath of the soldiers to alter to a firm loyalty to Hitler and Hitler only personally, and by name. So they, instead of saying, I'm loyal to the German people and the government, now they have to say, I am loyal to Hitler and only Hitler.
Yeah, and they were teaching this shit to kids in schools. Like, getting up and saying, like, the Pledge of Allegiance. They were pledging Hitler. Yes, yes.
So, in 1938, Hitler used blackmail to consolidate his hold over the military by instigating the Blumberg-Frisch affair. Hitler forced his war minister, Field Marshal Warren von Blomberg, to resign by using a police dossier that showed Blomberg's new wife had a record for prostitution.
Nice. All right.
Army Commander Colonel General Warren von Frisch was removed after the SS produced allegations that he had engaged in homosexual relationships. Both men had fallen in disfavor because they objected to Hitler's demand to make ready for war as early as 1938. Hitler assumed Blumberg's title of Commander-in-Chief of the Army, thus taking personal command of all armed forces. He then replaced the Ministry of War, headed by General William Keitel. On the same day, 16 generals were stripped of their command and 44 more were transferred. All were suspected of not being sufficiently pro-Nazi. By early February 1938, 12 more generals had been removed. Hitler took care to give his dictatorship the appearance of legality. Many of his decrees were explicitly based on the fire decree, which, of course, as we discussed, was a complete sham initiated by Hitler to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And hence were based on Article 48 of the Wehrmacher Constitution. The government renewed the Enabling Act twice, each time for a 4-year period, giving him complete control again. Of course they did.
Absolutely.
He owns the government. Of course we're going to approve it. No problem, guy. You go ahead.
Yes, I approve my approval.
Yes. While elections were still held in 33, 36, and 38, voters were presented with a single list of Nazis and pro-Nazis.
I mean, dude, it sounds eerily similar to us. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And these elections were held in secret conditions. Where nobody knew where they were held.
Wow.
And then, when they were held, the Nazis would threaten severe reprisals against anyone who did not vote or dared to vote no against the Nazi Party. So, first of all, we're going to have an election.
Right.
But we're going to have it in secret. And then when you come in here, what we're going to tell you is, look, you either vote Nazi or we're going to shoot you. I mean, who you voting for, bud?
So, I guess, though, it's scary to think about, man. It really is, because, like, who is happy with their government? You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody has a problem, no matter who is voted in or who is voted out, or, you know, that you're always going to have arguments and debates over your government. And then what happens when it gets to a boiling point and people have had enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you got to think real fucking hard about what you're doing. Because what side are you going to choose? Right? You can start these revolutions and these overthrows, and you can get up in anarchy over shit.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But you better have a fucking plan in place. Because, by all accounts, right, everybody that he's come in contact with leading up to the point to where now he has full fucking control he's a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
Man, he makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think I'm on his side.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll just go ahead and let Hitler have it, right?
Yeah.
Well, now you're going to be faced with a fucking decision.
Right.
You're either going to be a Nazi,
Right.
and you're going to do every fucking thing we tell you, no matter what it is,
Right.
no matter how fucking immoral and vile the action is, or you're going to die.
Yeah.
What side are you going to choose?
Right. It's either we're going to kill you and your whole entire family, and we're going to kill your family in front of you while you watch, and we're going to make sure you're tortured before you die.
Right.
Or you're going to vote Nazi.
And we're talking, I mean, look how quick it happened.
Yeah, 2 years.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom, it happened just like that. And literally, yeah, now not only if you're Jewish, you're getting taken, but, you know, not by your free will. You're getting taken, and you're getting taken to concentration just by being a Jew. And if you're not a Jew, then you have to comply and basically be a Nazi, or you're going to be treated as a Jew. And it happens just like that. And I mean, we're spoiled here now, right now. You know what I mean? In American society, we're spoiled as fuck. But I guess my thing is, like, don't think you can't go there.
Oh, no.
And don't think that you won't be the one that's a Nazi fucking guard shooting a motherfucker in the head because he won't do what he was told to do, or he won't vote how he was told to vote.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens just like that. You know, and it's easy for us to sit here and say, fuck the Nazis, but, you know what I mean, the pieces of shit, you know what I mean, I would never do that. Are you sure? Are you sure you wouldn't do that? Because I guarantee if they're dragging your goddamn kids and your wife out by their hair with a gun to their head you might think different.
So, that's the problem that we have, is that, and in the next episode, we're going to get more into some of the crazy paranormal. If you guys like paranormal, definitely listen to the next episode, because we're going to get into a lot more of what the Holocaust was, and what some of the crazy paranormal shit that Germany did. Because that's basically where I wanted to stop. Because, see, I wanted, when we started doing Hitler, I didn't want to rehash everything everybody knows. I didn't want to talk about World War II and the Holocaust, because that's been talked to death. Everybody knows that story. What I wanted to do with these episodes is kind of give you a background of how this came about. Because everybody knows about the Holocaust. Everybody knows about World War II and what happened after this. But very few people know how Hitler got to the point where all this was going on. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're at this point is in the stories. Now, at this point, he's taken over Germany. You know, we know what happens after that.
Lock, stock, and barrel.
Yeah, and like we know what goes on
this
after
isn't
this.
This isn't a person that was elected.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And this isn't a person who is the president or the chancellor and has a Congress and all this thing that, you know, have to vote on and pass bills and laws. We're talking about one man.
Right.
Who literally can make any law, any decree, any rule, any right he wants to.
Right.
Himself alone.
Right.
Right. And that, but you can't even stress enough the danger of that.
And I mean, you've got to understand, was Hitler a horrible person? Of course he was. Was he a narcissist? Of course he was. Was he a sociopath? Yeah. A psychopath? Yeah. But he was also very charming. He was very beguiling. If he wanted to, he could make you think he was the nicest, sweetest, most humane person
really
in
good
the
at
world.
Playing the game that it took to become.
He knew how to con people.
Yeah,
like a lot of serial killers.
Right.
A lot of sociopaths have that ability. Look at Ted Bundy.
Right.
I mean, look what we talked about Kemper. Again, going back to what he did with that one time. He talked that girl into letting him back in the car after kidnapping her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And,
that's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
It's the greatest.
Talked her back into opening a locked door so he could get the gun to kill her.
Absolutely.
Right. That's how charming these sociopaths can be, and Hitler was no exception.
But see, like, the thing about Hitler is what he's doing. And I believe that probably in his mind and heart, he thought was doing the right thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And what makes him so incredibly dangerous and why he will be talked about until the end of time, I'm sure, is he convinced thousands and millions of other people to think just like him.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And, like, that's nuts, man.
I mean, he literally, I don't think he did it out of anything other than the fact that he wanted Germany to prosper. I think that's why he did what he did. And I think he really, truly believed that Jewish people were the downfall of Germany.
Right.
And I think he was just so racist and so backward that in his psychotic mind, he blamed all the problems of the whole country on one race of people.
Yeah, and it didn't, you know, that's what is so interesting about how we've done it. Like, the backstory is because it didn't just happen overnight.
No.
Right?
No.
Hitler didn't just all of a sudden show up on the scene, boom, he's the fucking dictator.
No.
No, he was planning this.
Oh, yeah.
Working this since he was a teenager.
Oh, yeah. Because, that's when these racist views started.
People up.
Yeah.
He'd go to bars and restaurants and wherever, you know, speak to 10, 15, 20, 100 people. And he was rallying people up and getting their minds going well beforehand. You know what I'm saying? And it was a process, coupled with the fact that everything fell exactly how it needed to fall, where the German people basically were in desperation. And they were looking for a savior.
Right.
And they were looking for something new, a change. How are we going to get out of this? And it's crazy how it all just came about. The timing of it's just crazy.
I'll tell you this, if a few more things had happened a little differently during Trump's presidential run and everything, he could have pulled that off. Because he was almost there with his MAGA supporters and all of that. I mean, he was getting to the whole point of almost a Hitler status.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
He fucked up.
That's what I was saying. Like, we're at that kind of like a tipping point in this country, man. Like, we gotta be fucking careful.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It can change real quick. All it takes is one really good guy to pull it off like Hitler did, and you're at the point where the United States is no different than the Nazi Party.
Well, right. And like, presidents are actors anyway, right?
Right.
And people are good, especially sociopaths, at, like you said, at fucking being charming, right? At saying what they need to say and doing what they need to do in order to con you into thinking that they're these good people that have good intentions. When, no, they're playing a game to get to the point where they make the fucking rules, and then you're going to find out just how charming they are.
Right.
Yeah, and it's dangerous, man. It's a fucking tough, it's a really thin line to walk.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Crazy.
Well, anyways, this was part 2 of Hitler and the Nazi Party, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stick around, because next week we will release part 3, which I said, if you like our more paranormal stuff, definitely listen to part 3, because it'll be talking more about mind control, and we'll get into MK Ultra. We're going to get into
can you imagine
psychics that they used.
How much paranormal activity goes on at like where these concentration camps were, man?
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be incredible.
Well, not only that, we're going to get into a lot of our own government's deceitful nature with Operation Paperclip.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they basically discounted all of these Nazi generals and scientists and said they were horrible people, and then turned right around and hired them for Operation Paperclip.
100%.
I mean, you're going to tell us these are the worst humans in existence, they did horrible things to Jewish people, but they have some great ideas. So what we're going to do is we're just going to bring them over here, and we're going to start our Operation Paperclip, and then eventually MK Ultra.
Yeah.
Using the exact same scientist Hitler had.
Right.
And Goldberg, which, if anybody knows who Goldberg is, that was one of Hitler's top people for mind control. He was also the #1 scientist for MK Ultra in the 1950s.
100%.
So, yeah, just, it's fine. He did these horrible experiments on Jewish people.
How we got into fucking space? Got to the moon. Well,
Operation Paperclip.
Werner von Braun.
Yep.
Nazi.
Head Nazi scientist. Yeah. Well, anyways, I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time.
Later.